To make this, it's very easy. You just need 2 scraps of wood. Now I've chosen this plywood because I had these 2 offcuts left over from a previous job from when I made the load extender for the truck. So we're going to use those, and you're also going to need some threaded bar. And I'm going to use M8 because I think I have some M8 knocking about somewhere. So the first thing we need to do is measure the outside diameter of the tap handle just there, which is about 51 or 50 millimeters. So we now need to drill a hole in one of these pieces that size. To do that, I'm going to use this hole saw, which is a Starrett, which is a very good make of hole saw. I've just marked the centre of the piece using some chalk so that we get the hole somewhere near the centre. I'm just going to grip that in the vise. And then we can just cut the hole out using the hole saw. Then just mark that down the centre. We're going to cut that later, but before we do that we need to drill a hole all the way through this piece of wood, and I don't think I've got a drill bit long enough to go all the way through, so I'm just going to drill through from one side, and then after I've cut that I will then continue drilling through the other piece. Ideally I could have done with a slightly bigger piece of wood than this, but like I said, this is a offcut. So I've roughly halved the thickness of the wood there, which is about 14 mil, so that's going to be at about 7 millimeters. And I could do with a slightly thinner marker, but unfortunately I've not got one here at the minute. I know that the wood is 18 millimeters thick, so I now need to set this to 9 millimeters. Which should give us halfway, roughly. So I'm going to make sure that I drill to the bottom side of the mark because of the thickness of the marker. So I'm now going to put that in the vise, and I'm going to get it level with the top of the vise. And then when I drill this hole, I need to make sure I'm slightly to this side of it. I'm now going to go very carefully and very slowly, ensuring that I get it straight. Obviously you can do this on a pillar drill if you have one, and it will be a lot more accurate. Then I'm going to put that in upside down, ensure it's level with the top of the vise, and I'm just going to go to that side of the line so that it's central. I can then hold the 2 pieces together, and I can put that in the vise, and I can drill an 8 millimeter hole through there and through the bottom. I'm not even going to bother marking these out. So that top part will become the hammer. That's the bit that we're going to smack. And then we're just going to take a saw and we're just going to cut straight down the centre there. I should really have used a larger piece of wood because we have actually just caught the bottom of that hole there. Obviously if I used a bigger piece I wouldn't have had to drill so close to the hole that we've already drilled. But I'm going to re-drill those anyway. I'll now drill these all the way through. course, you could make these out of some other materials, such as some engineering plastic or something, but this is just something I've got left over. If we put that on there, you can see that that's touching, and if we tighten that up, it's not actually going to grip the handle. So that means that we need to reduce the size of the gap on that. So if we get the saw and cut another little bit off one of those pieces, that will then clamp tight around the base of the tap handle. So we're just going to take slightly more than a blade's width off there, and you probably only need to do that at one side, but just to be sure we'll take it off both. This time you can see that we've got a nice gap, and that will enable us to tighten that piece up around the tap handle. We then need 2 pieces of threaded bar cutting so that they are just longer than this piece at the bottom. So I'm just going to cut 2 of them at approximately that length. You can cut this using a hack saw, or you could use an angle grinder with a cutting disc. The choice is yours. I've then cut a piece that's about 10 inches long. And I'm just going to mark that, and then we'll cut the other one. This time I'll use a grinder. You'll notice there were no sparks coming off that. That is because this is stainless steel threaded bar. Now that we've cut the threaded bar, we just need to tidy the end up. You can do this quite easily on a bench grinder. If you don't have one of those, a flat disc works really well in a cordless angle grinder. So if we take a nut now, you can see that that screws straight on there, absolutely no problem at all. We then just need to push the bars through and put the nuts on like so. We'll leave them slack for now. And then just going to wind a nut onto the threaded bar. And then I'm going to place that on there. I will then put a nylock on and tighten that up. We then just need to do that with the other piece. And then we'll just tighten that nut down onto there. And then the top piece simply goes on like so. Because we're going to be tapping this part with a hammer, we're just going to put a large penny washer on the top of there, and that will help to spread the load. And then on top we're going to put a nylock nut again. And then we just need to nip those up. So with this I can get this, hook it over the tap, get it just on the bottom there, and then I can tighten up these nuts. And that will actually grip the tap, or the tap handle.